Welcome back, everyone. This guest has been on with me before now a few times. I have with me Sandy, another Sandy, two Sandys in a row, Sandy Greenlee, and she is the owner of Angels Cremation and Burial. Welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. And you know, today you said that you wanted to talk about a couple of different things, and I think people need to understand. First of all, how important it is to have the conversation that we're going to talk about right now. You said that you wanted to talk about why someone should choose cremation rather than burial.
Well, most people choose cremation because it's a lot less expensive. Some people are concerned about the amount of land or space. But actually, there's plenty of land. We maybe not where you want it to be, but there's plenty of land. But cremation is a lot less expensive. The other thing is we live in such a transient society. 30 years ago, I buried my son here thinking my son died here. We took him home to Wyoming to bury him because we had no idea we were going to be here 30 years later. So now if I want to see his grave or if I want to be close to him, I have to drive 1,200 miles.
Right.
If you do cremation, you can just take that urn with you wherever you go, whenever you go there. And so cremation is definitely, in Arizona, it's about 75%. So it is getting to be the way to go.
Well, let me tell you, that's the way I'm doing it. I mean, and I think a lot more, everybody I know practically that could say that they're doing it. But I think that's what's really important is for people to understand the importance of understanding why you might want to do something like this and how things work, that there's a process with everything. And Sandy has been in the Valley in Mesa for 20 years. And I would like to talk a little bit about what some of the challenges are to have someone when they are being cremated. What could something come up that they don't realize?
Well, if the person who wants to be cremated signs their own authorization and has it notarized, there's not a problem. But if they have children or they have a spouse that they're estranged from, we have to have the legal next of kin sign the cremation authorization, which can be very challenging if you have 5 kids and you only know where one of them is at. And so it's so important to know that in advance. Or maybe everybody was just here from vacation and now they've gone back home, so we have to get all of those authorizations. So just remember, if you want to be cremated, it's best if you do the paperwork in advance yourself. Then you don't have to worry about who's not going to show up or who's not going to sign or who's not going to be interested. I just feel like talking about it so that everybody knows what they want and what's going to happen, it makes life so much easier and so much more enjoyable. Because so many times we have people that want to be cremated and yet there's not their legal next of kin. So then we have to advertise and we have to keep the loved one under refrigeration for 15 days. Some mortuaries charge for that 15 days, we do not. But the point of the matter is that's a very emotional key for some people. I've had people crying and saying, is there nothing else I can do? But my mom wanted to be cremated, but she didn't write it, she just told us.
Here you go, guys.
And so, you know, having that signature on the paperwork that says you want to be cremated and having it notarized, because if it's not notarized, how do we know that mom really signed it?
And that's so important. All things that you do when you do documents, and I've said this before on my show before, documents are documents, but there's documents that have to work.
Well, and sometimes people say, well, but it doesn't have to be notarized. Well, maybe it doesn't have to be notarized for whatever you want it to be, but if you're going to cremate, it needs to be notarized or witnessed by a person with signatures, dates, addresses, phone numbers, because we have to know that somebody didn't forge your name or forge somebody else's name and go ahead and say, oh, that never happens. I wish I had a penny for every time it's happened because I would be a rich person.
Well, she is. She's been doing it for 20 years, so she's got a lot of pennies because a lot of people out there don't do these things. And you know firsthand, you've been doing this for so long, you've seen the same story over and over and over again.
We were going to do it, but we didn't take the time. We talked about it, but we didn't get it in writing. I mean, if you call us, we'll even bring the paperwork to you. We'll have it notarized right there for you so that we can make your life a little easier rather than more difficult.
Now, her website is Angels Cremation and Burial.com. The phone number is 480-962-6435. It's easy. It's 480-96-ANGEL. And so you can just call that way. Call and have that conversation. You got to do consultations with people to find out what their needs are. This is what people need to know of how important it is to not put your head in the sand. What a great time. You've got family maybe coming over right now, 'cause, you know, the holidays are around the time. What a great time to sit down, and I know it sounds morbid, but to talk about what are our plans. Look what's happening in the world today. We would have never thought this would happen.
Amen.
There you
We
go.
would have no idea. And the thing of it is pre-planning makes it so much easier. It makes it so much more peaceful for everybody. Death is difficult in the best of circumstances. I mean, you can have somebody that's been really, really sick. You're praying for them to be able to go home to God, and yet you still have to walk your path. You still have to do all the paperwork. Unfortunately, in America, nothing gets done without paperwork. We all wish it would vanish, it would go away, but I'm here to tell you, paperwork is here to stay. And the longer we live and the more challenges we have, the paperwork there is. And a notary is the greatest gift in the world to me.
And okay, let me ask you this: why are there so many different prices for cremation?
Well, people can charge what they want. A direct cremation is a direct cremation is a direct cremation. There's nothing that changes about it. You pick up the loved one, you do the paperwork, you have the person cremated, you have the cremains back. Some people have a lot more overhead. Some people can charge it because they can, because people keep paying it. So if you want to, if you're financially distraught or you're watching your dollars, check around. You can find anywhere from $500 to $3,000 or $3,500 for the exact same thing. When you're having a funeral, you have the facility, so you're wanting it to look a certain way, you're wanting it to be in a certain neighborhood. When you're doing a cremation, they're going to pick up the loved one. You can do the paperwork via the fax or the internet, come in to pick up the cremains. I had a lady one time tell me from Anthem, I can drive a long ways for $500.
Now, in in terms of it, when you at your cremation and burial, do you have, what's your price? Do you want to talk about that?
We charge $565 for a direct cremation. Now there are some additional fees if you're overweight or if you were mileage, but other than that, a direct cremation is $565.
Right, and you know what? Though I'm sure that's with everyone, no matter what. And
Right.
if you want to go ahead and spend that kind of money, you're more than welcome to. But you really don't have to. You said there's nothing changes about it at all. I think the only thing that might change is how they carry you out. If you want to be in a box, right?
Well, basically we
They
all
have
carry
different
them out the
boxes.
same way.
No, they do, but there's different boxes. And
Oh,
really,
the
honestly, what do you need a fancy box to be? You don't. So really, honestly, the bottom line is once that is all being taken care of, it's done the same way, the same process. And I want you to repeat again something that I want people to hear. And I know my father had something happen where he was also, I don't know what it was because I wasn't involved on that part of it, but he was also held. And I don't remember how many days it was, but you said up to 15 days.
We have to post an obituary and wait for 15 days if we do not have the legal next of kin's permission to cremate.
Call and have that consultation with her. It's free to do. The number is 480-962-6435, which is 480-96-ANGELS. Easy to remember. She's been in the Valley for 20 years. She knows the ins and outs of this and seen it change quite a bit. But the fact is to make it easy on everyone. The conversation easy, then the process easy, and even the pocketbook a little easy, right?
That's correct. And they all go together hand in hand depending on the family.
You know,
Some people have lots of money, some people don't.
I've also been, and that, amen, right? But you have been on your website, and you have a lot of information there. What I really love about you and what you want to do is be there for the family. You're all about being there to help them get through a very difficult time in someone's life.
Yes. We support the family for up to a year. We send out cards and letters and just trying to help people to know that they're cared about and they're thought about. Because generally speaking, when somebody dies, everybody comes for the first 5 or 6 days and then they forget you're there. They forget you're alone. And so we send out cards every 3 months and at Christmas just to help people get through the difficult times.
You know, you're going through a difficult time. So even people that own, doctors have difficult time. Everybody has a difficult time in life, right?
That's right. When nobody's exempt, we all get our turn.
And this time, this is just something that's going to happen. But how important it is for us all to make sure that we cross our T's and dot our I's and kind of make sure it's so much easier. Number one, you'll get what you want. Number one, right? Number one. Number two is you make it easier on the family. I know it was hard on me when I found out that happened to my dad, and I'm sure he didn't like the idea of that either. But that's why it's so important. Here's another important question. How does somebody know that they're getting their loved one back? after they've been cremated?
Every mortuary has their own set of rules, their own set of plans. A lot of it is governed by the government, but you have we have a tag that we put on them. They are followed through the process with a dog tag. Then everything is all marked and labeled. The chances of getting the wrong cremains is very, very minute and very slight. You hear about the one horror story, but the one horror story in the millions of cremations that take place. It's something you really don't need to worry about, but it's all about trust. Trust the person you're talking to, trust the people that are doing the work for you, ask questions, ask them what their process is so that you know exactly what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. I think that's a great blessing. I've had people say, I'm embarrassed to ask you this, and I said, do you know what? Answered questions brings peace, unanswered questions bring stress. How much more stress do you need at this time in your life? Ask questions. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. Just ask the questions.
It's all important. There's no bad question because it's so important for you to understand what's going on. You want to know the process. You want to understand it. But here's the thing, guys. Right now, it's so hard. You can't do anything without being checked. And then it means, you know, go to your bank account. You can't. You know, they're asking you who you are. I mean, over and over and over again. You have to go through the process of even doing that. Getting on Amazon, I don't care what it is right now. So believe me, everything that you're doing with, especially someone who's been around for 20 years in the Valley, who's experienced, who knows what to do and how to help you get through the process. Her number is 480-962-6435. The website, check it out. It's Angels Cremation and Burial.com.
Thank you.